Life is so much more than a diagnosis. It's about sharing time with those you love, hanging with friends who lift you up, and experiencing all those moments that bring you joy. All hits, no skips. Learn more about Kisqali Ribociclib 200 milligrams at KISQALI.com and talk to your doctor to see if Kisqali is right for you. So long live singing to the oldies, jamming out to something new, and everything in between.
First love and teenage love are often considered some of the purest forms of love. However, when that love fades away, it can be devastating to witness how what was once a loving relationship can turn sour. This is the tragic story of Sierra Grimes, an 18-year-old girl who was talented, outgoing, family-oriented, and loved by many. Sierra is found wounded, and detectives are searching for answers. What happened to Sierra Grimes? What happens when love becomes deadly? This is the Fatal Attraction Podcast with Dangerous Loves.
He was her first love.
She loved him so much.
There was something about this boy. There was no keeping them two apart.
But in one terrible instant, it was over.
She had a bullet in her chest.
They left her to die in the street.
It's shocking, very shocking.
All we did was just cry.
Detectives must dig for answers.
Tell us what happened. The person who did this needs to come forward.
I don't think of it as snitching.
And a grieving family demands the truth.
Yeah, I helped cover it up.
You don't do that to somebody you love.
The only thing I want is justice for my daughter.
May 9th, 2018, Rochester, New York. It's after midnight in this city of 200,000, just south of Lake Ontario.
Rochester is the third largest city in the state of New York. It has a lot of charms to it, has a lot of festivals, a lot of places to hike. But at the same time, Rochester has a dark component. It's one of the most dangerous cities in the entire country. It is also one of the poorest cities in the entire country.
It is pretty high crime for as small of a city as we have. There are several nice neighborhoods and then several bad neighborhoods.
At 12:35 a.m., in one of the city's rougher neighborhoods, the Northern Crescent, patrol units respond to a 911 call on Delamain Drive.
There was an anonymous caller reporting that there was a person shot.
The individual who called 911 was not giving up much information other than that the person shot was in Delamain.
When officers arrive at the address the caller had given, they find two young women in the driveway outside the house.
One was kneeling down and she had another female propped up against her.
Everything's gonna be fine.
Officers are not yet sure this is the gunshot victim.
What's wrong with your friend?
I don't know.
He appeared to be somewhat lethargic, kind of out of it.
Did you call 911?
No, I just kind of like this.
The young woman identifies herself as Haley Winters.
Hey.
The young woman, 18-year-old Haley Winters, said that she was walking down the street when she found the victim collapsed in the driveway.
It doesn't take long for officers to notice blood on the victim.
The officers were able to observe what appeared to be a contact wound to her arm.
Who shot you? Can you hear me? Who shot you? What's her name?
Sierra Grimes.
Sierra, can you hear me?
Sierra is unresponsive, but doesn't appear to have lost too much blood.
It was puzzling for the officers at the scene because the bullet wound to her arm didn't appear all that severe.
But officers soon realize the wound to her arm isn't Sierra's only injury.
A bullet had traveled through her arm, entered her chest cavity under her armpit.
She's got a severe gunshot wound to her chest. Go ahead and start me an ambulance. One female gunshot wound.
Oh my God, Sierra!
Is there still time to save this young woman's life? 18-year-old Sierra Grimes grew up in a tight-knit and loving home.
We had so many good times. Me, her sister, and her brother.
She just loved being around family. We would just sit on the couch for hours and just binge watch different shows.
However, while Sierra loved spending time with her family, the teenager was very social.
She wasn't shy. That's one thing I could say about Sierra. She wasn't shy. She was a very outgoing girl.
She loves the hip-hop scene. She loves all that. Anything with music, she was into it.
She loved to sing it. She loved to dance.
She was a people person. She's crazy and fun.
She was a very, very loving girl.
But Sierra also had a little bit of a tough side.
If she has something on her mind, she will tell you.
She's a little sassy. As soon as you do something she don't like, she's blunt about the situation, and she's upfront, you know?
She was a fighter. She didn't take no crap from nobody.
She's gonna stand up for what she believes in. She doesn't care what nobody says.
Sierra was not scared to tell anybody how she felt.
Including her feelings for her classmate, 17-year-old Jermaine Brown.
Sierra liked him so much, but let him know. He was pretty cool. Like, he was nice. I think like 14, 15, when they first was just a little fling.
In middle school, they just was texting on the phone. You know, they tried a little puppy love relationship, from what Sierra told me.
By the time Sierra was 18, the couple's puppy love had turned serious.
He used to come over every day, and we used to bake cookies. Me, him, and Sierra used to bake cookies together because there was never a day he didn't come over and didn't want cookies.
Making my favorite, I see.
How are they?
Sweet. Like you.
Their relationship, it was good. It was really good.
They seemed like they had like love there. It seemed like it was real.
Can you guys get a room?
She could go talk to him about certain things. She wouldn't feel comfortable be talking about me or to my mom or to certain people, you know? That was her person to confide in, you know what I'm saying? That's that person made her feel safe.
He was kind. He was nice and gentle.
He had also become a part of the family.
I loved Jermaine, and my daughter was good to him, and so was my family.
As much as Sierra cherished her relationship with Jermaine, she never lost sight of her future.
She was about to graduate from high school. She knew what she wanted to do.
She was gonna sign up for school for cosmetology. She loved doing hair. She had a passion for that.
She did hair all the time. In my house, it was hair everywhere because they would use the extension hairs and stuff and braid and stuff. All the girls used to come over.
She wanted to be out there, do something, interact with people. And doing hair was that for her.
But the bright future ahead of Sierra was in serious jeopardy. On the night of May 9th, 2018, an ambulance arrives to try to save the life of the 18-year-old.
First responding officer saw that Sierra had suffered a gunshot wound through her chest.
She was fighting for her life, and my sister was strong.
They bring an ambulance, they transport her to the hospital.
As the EMTs load Sierra into the ambulance, officers at the scene turn to Haley Winters, the young woman who'd been holding Sierra when they arrived.
All right, so what happened?
I don't know. I was walking down the street and I just found her here.
She claimed that she found her laying in the street and didn't realize that she had been shot.
But is she telling the truth?
It seemed a little suspicious.
You hiding something. You know something.
Hold tight as we navigate through the unpredictable twists and turns of this heart-wrenching episode.
Have y'all heard about the new Tums Gummy Bites? Let me put you on. If you have occasional heartburn, upset stomach, and acid indigestion, savor the flavor of Tums' new Gummy Bites and bounce back fast. Use as directed.
18 years old and only a few weeks away from graduating high school, Sierra Grimes had a bright future ahead of her.
She was very excited. She was ready. She wanted to go to school for cosmetology.
Sierra had also found love with 17-year-old Jermaine Brown.
Sierra and Jermaine had basically been together since middle school.
She loved him so much, and he was always with her.
But now, not long after midnight on May 9th, 2018, paramedics and police have just responded to a 911 call and arrived to find Sierra with a gunshot wound to the chest.
There was a 911 call that came in from an anonymous caller that there was a person shot.
Police responded to the address the caller gave and found Sierra and her friend, Haley Winters.
She was kneeling on the sidewalk near the street, and she had Sierra Grimes propped up against her, and she was holding her.
Haley had no information in regards to who called 911.
Detectives arrive on the scene moments after the ambulance rushes Sierra to the hospital, and talking to Haley is their first priority.
Do you think she's gonna be okay?
I'm sure the doctors are gonna do everything they can.
Were you two friends?
Yeah, we were supposed to hang out tonight. She sent me a text saying we should meet up.
Where?
On the corner up the street.
She indicated that as she was walking up the street, she observed Sierra at the driveway.
When I saw her, I could tell something wasn't right.
Haley said Sierra was stumbling around, and as she approached, Sierra collapsed in the driveway.
And she didn't say who shot her?
No, she couldn't really speak.
Detectives have doubts that Haley's telling them the whole truth.
The first clue my partner and I had that Haley wasn't being completely honest was the way they were dressed.
Sierra and Haley were wearing tank tops and shorts, and in Rochester, Maine, it's not considered very warm that time of day.
So it didn't appear that she'd been walking down the street. It appeared that they had both just come out of a house.
Detectives didn't actually suspect that Haley was the shooter, but they did think that she knew more than she was telling them.
Rather than let Haley go, detectives ask her to wait in the back of a squad car.
Am I in trouble?
No, but we may have a few more questions. Why don't you get warm in the back of the cruiser?
We definitely thought she was an eyewitness right from the beginning. I don't think she realized at the time the gravity of the situation.
Once Haley is secured in the car, officers at the scene inform detectives they've detained another friend of Sierra's they've located nearby, Deshaun Sweet.
Officers saw him walking down the street and stopped him to see if he was a witness or if he knew anything.
He said he didn't see anything.
You know Sierra?
Yeah, they told me she just got shot.
He seemed kind of confused and upset because he claimed to be very good friends with Sierra, so he was emotional.
Where were you headed when the officer stopped you?
I was headed home. I stay right down there.
The address Deshaun gave detectives just happened to be next door to the house where they found Sierra lying in the driveway.
He indicated that he had went to the store to purchase candy.
We felt Deshaun was simply not telling us the truth.
Suspecting Deshaun also knew more than he was letting on, detectives put him in the back of another patrol car.
Didn't do nothing, man.
I want you just to sit tight. We'll get this thing figured out.
With two potential witnesses at the scene, a couple who live just down the street approaches detectives, claiming they have vital information.
Y'all want to know who shot that girl? You need to start looking in that house there.
The neighbor indicated it was the house next door to where police found Sierra, the same house Deshaun claimed he lived in.
It was kind of a nuisance house in the neighborhood, always loud music and people coming and going.
Neighbors definitely knew of drug activity happening there.
As soon as I heard the shot, I knew exactly where it came from.
You heard the shot?
Yes.
Did you call 911?
No, that wasn't us.
They were pretty fearful of the activity going on at the house.
If what they were telling detectives was true, it sounded like Sierra's shooting had something to do with the drug activity at the house.
After talking to the neighbors, detectives approached the suspected drug house.
As soon as they climbed the front steps, the detectives were fairly certain the neighbors were right to have been suspicious.
Check it out.
Blood?
Yep.
To detectives, it's clear where Sierra had been shot.
We were pretty confident that was the crime scene because of the blood on the porch.
Could Sierra's shooter still be inside?
As detectives approached the door, they spotted someone peering at them through the blinds.
There were people inside and they refused to come to the door.
Open up. We need to talk to you.
Better talk to the judge, then.
They indicated that in order for us to enter the house, we would need a search warrant.
If you didn't do nothing, you're not gonna barricade yourself in the house.
Now detectives were all but convinced they would find Sierra's shooter hiding inside. Police now had a potential active shooter situation.
Hold tight as we navigate through the unpredictable twists and turns of this heart-wrenching episode.
Detectives investigating the shooting of 18-year-old Sierra Grimes believe they've just located the crime scene.
Detectives discovered blood on the porch of the house next door to where Sierra was found lying in the driveway.
People were in the house, they weren't coming out.
Rochester police are now involved in a potentially dangerous standoff.
We called in for the SWAT team, and someone from our unit started writing a search warrant for the home.
As detectives await their warrant, they receive disturbing news from the hospital.
Sierra was transported to the hospital, and she was pronounced dead at about 1:45.
Detectives are now investigating a murder. But for the moment, they make the difficult decision to hold off on notifying Sierra's family.
We wanted to have the witnesses believe that Sierra was still alive and that she would be able to communicate with us and tell us what actually happened. So it was kind of an investigative tool.
As morning comes, and with the SWAT team en route, detectives uncover what could be another valuable tool for their investigation.
There was a video surveillance on the exterior of the house right across the street.
Detectives knock on the door and make contact with the homeowner.
Yeah.
Excuse me, sir. We're investigating the shooting across the street there.
Oh, Lord. Is she okay?
I'm afraid not.
Before detectives get to the security footage, though, they ask the neighbor if he'd witnessed anything unusual the night before.
I heard something that sounded like a shot. I looked through my window and I saw that they were carrying her outside.
The witness said the group stood around outside for a minute and then fled.
A couple males walked away from the scene, and some females went back in the house.
They just ran?
Yeah, all except one girl. She stayed until you guys showed up.
Now detectives knew that Haley was definitely lying.
Detectives also wonder about Deshaun Sweet, the young man police picked up down the street from the crime scene.
Could he have been one of the young men who ran away? And if so, could he have also been the shooter?
Do you think you can identify either of the guys that ran off?
I don't know. It was pretty dark.
Is there any chance, though, that we could access your security footage?
Yeah, of course. Let me get that security footage for you.
Our technicians were able to download the video and bring it back to our office.
And now the SWAT team has arrived and descends on the house where police believe Sierra was shot.
Copy that. Moving now.
Rochester, please, search for it!
They went in with their weapons drawn. They had to be ready for anything.
They don't know what they're walking into.
The team quickly clears the first floor. In an upstairs bedroom, they find a closed door and prepare for the worst.
Get your hands up, let me see them, get them behind your head.
The SWAT team finds two women who quickly surrender. As word of the standoff spreads to local news stations, camera crews arrive in time to capture the aftermath.
The women that were in the house were escorted out by the SWAT team.
Their names are Tamika Wilson and Tamra Stevens.
They were brought to our public safety building, our headquarters.
With the location secured by the SWAT team, detectives begin their search of the house. And it doesn't take them long to find evidence that strongly suggests Sierra had been in the house at some point.
Police found her ID, and they also found a letter addressed to her.
Despite the cache of evidence proving Sierra was in the house, detectives find no evidence of a shooting.
There was no blood, There was no casing from the gun. There was really no crime scene.
While the house turns up little evidence, just down the street, officers uncover what could be the murder weapon.
The weapon was found a couple doors down in a driveway under a pile of leaves.
It was immediately sent in for testing to determine if it could have been the cause of Sierra's injuries.
After finding the weapon, detectives return to the station and review the surveillance footage from across the street.
It was a crucial piece of evidence because we were able to see that Sierra was actually carried outside, left at the curb, and that a couple males walked away from the scene and that some females went back in the house.
The video was of decent quality, but not enough to identify people by their face.
We could tell who Deshaun was. His clothing was pretty distinctive, and who Haley was because she stayed with Sierra.
They could identify all of the people except one.
Now the question becomes, who is the last person in the video? To find out, they start interrogating the 4 people they have in custody, one at a time.
We confronted the witnesses with the fact that we saw the video.
We know you were there for a fact, straight up. We kind of got a good idea of what happened and what went down.
We know she was shot inside the home because other people have been talking and saying stuff.
One by one, the witnesses refuse to budge.
I didn't see what happened.
I don't know who was there last night. I'm telling you, I was really asleep.
They were very uncooperative, kind of had an anti-police attitude.
For the next several hours, detectives keep pressing.
Investigators knew that whenever there were several people refusing to talk, there was always one weak link.
Well, I don't even know what to tell you guys. So it's like I was the whole time.
Hold tight as we navigate through the unpredictable twists and turns of this heart-wrenching episode.
Let me tell you about the latest tea. America's #1 antacid brand, trusted for more than 95 years, just released their latest innovation, Tums Plus Upset Stomach and Nausea Support. These new soft and easy-to-chew gummy bites relieve occasional heartburn and help settle your stomach with soothing ginger. They're tasty and act fast, so stock up on Tums Plus Upset Stomach and Nausea Support gummies in your car, in your bag, and your medicine cabinet. Now you can get back to enjoying all the things on the menu. Shout out to Tums. Please use as directed.
Detectives investigating the death of 18-year-old Sierra Grimes are questioning 4 possible witnesses to the shooting: Haley Winters, Deshaun Sweet, Tamika Wilson, and Tamara Stevens.
Haley was with Sierra when police arrived. They found Deshaun walking down the street nearby, and Tamara and Tamika were inside the house where police believed the shooting occurred.
Deshaun, Tamika, and Tamara all say they don't know what happened.
It seemed as though they were kind of guarded in the information that they were giving us.
Which means that Haley, who police found by Sierra's side after she'd been shot, is now their only hope.
And we're not asking you to snitch on anyone or tell on anyone.
During our interview with Haley, we had to kind of take baby steps with her.
Although detectives did not shy away from putting Haley on the spot.
Here's the problem. We have been looking at cameras. You were not out there alone with her.
We confronted her with the video that we had watched and that it didn't match with her initial story.
Caught in her lie, Haley decides to talk.
Okay, I'm just gonna tell you guys everything going on. So,
Haley tells detectives that she and Sierra went to the house because Sierra was supposed to meet a boy there.
I really don't know which boy she was going to see.
Haley said that Sierra had never told her the guy's name.
Haley explains that at the house, she and Sierra went upstairs.
Sierra went in the bath. It was like a way back room. And so I went in the bathroom.
Haley says she was only in the bathroom for a few minutes.
I came back out and I just heard mad yelling and stuff like that.
Haley tells detectives she ran downstairs to see what was going on and found Sierra lying on the ground.
Go out there and Sierra's laid out, and then there was tapping her.
She claimed Sierra was surrounded by 3 other people who, from Haley's descriptions, sounded like Deshaun, Tamara, and Tamika.
Haley said that when she asked what happened, no one really answered her question.
They just try to get for me to do mad different stuff.
Haley says they carried Sierra off the porch and into the neighbor's driveway.
She like, but really hurt.
Haley, make sure you stay with her.
Haley claims the others left her alone with Sierra, and she didn't have her phone.
Detectives figured it was probably Tamika or Tamara who reported that shooting to 911.
Haley's story fits most of what the detectives already know, but they also suspect she's still holding back.
Maybe you could actually help them. Maybe this is your opportunity. You think you're going to hurt someone? Maybe you're going to be helping someone.
Because I really would have, I would have snitched by now. I honestly don't know. I don't know. Nobody showed me a gun.
While Haley tries to convince detectives of her honesty, they have caught her in yet another lie.
There are 4 people besides Sierra in the video. Haley claims there were 3. So who is she protecting?
Did somebody leave that we don't have in custody right now? I think Haley initially had a hard time telling us the truth because she was very scared.
Do you understand that you almost could be an accomplice to this? So we're trying to...
Even with the possibility of her arrest on the table, Haley hesitates.
I could be wrong.
I don't know.
Going out of it.
However, detectives still have one card left to play.
We actually told Haley that Sierra had passed away.
It went through her arm and into her chest.
Are you dead serious? 100%. Are you dead serious?
Upon hearing the news, Haley completely broke down.
I wish I could tell you otherwise, but...
Yo, no, she didn't. No, she didn't.
But now that Haley knows that Sierra's dead, will she finally tell all?
And I know you're worried about talking, but you have to realize that the people in the house treated Sierra like she was a piece of trash and just took her out of the house and threw her on the front lawn.
However, despite detectives' best efforts to coax the truth out of Haley, she refused to identify Sierra's killer.
No, I really would tell you if I knew I was...
Getting nowhere, detectives leave Haley to stew in the interrogation room. Now, more than 7 hours after the 911 call that reported the shooting, detectives take the opportunity to reach out to Sierra's family and give them the tragic news.
A death notify is probably one of the worst parts of our job, something we don't enjoy doing.
We went to talk to Sierra's family later that morning, and we had to let them know that she had passed several hours earlier at the hospital.
The detectives came to my house, and that's the worst pain a person could go through.
I couldn't believe it, and I just started going crazy. I just started bugging out.
Sierra's family said they were worried when they woke up and Sierra had never made it home. Now, their worst fears have come true.
They didn't call me. That is unacceptable.
Learning Sierra died hours earlier made the awful news even harder to bear. Even if it was to help flesh out the truth about who shot her, the family was very upset they weren't told.
However, the family accepts that if it helps solve her murder, perhaps it will be worth it. Through their grief, they offer some vital information for detectives.
Sierra's family, they were very distraught, but immediately gave us answers as to who may be responsible.
As soon as we told Sierra's family that she passed away from a gunshot wound, they immediately told us that Jermaine, her boyfriend, had to be involved.
Hold tight as we navigate through the unpredictable twists and turns of this heart-wrenching episode.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Let me put you on to the latest innovation from Tums, America's #1 antacid brand, trusted for more than 95 years. New Tums Gummy Bites. If you have occasional heartburn, upset stomach, and acid indigestion, these tasty gummy bites help you bounce back fast. There's nothing like indulging on the food you enjoy the most, knowing you'll get fast relief from heartburn with Tums. New Tums Gummy Bites are soft, easy to chew, and taste great. So go ahead, make those dinner plans, and get back to the food you love. Please use as directed.
Hours after her death, Rochester detectives are making progress in identifying who shot 18-year-old Sierra Grimes.
Police had detained 4 people that they believed knew the truth.
They were very uncooperative, and it really slowed our investigation down.
But when detectives speak with Sierra's mother, the case takes a critical turn.
I was afraid he'd do something like this.
Who?
Her boyfriend, Jermaine.
We learned Jermaine Brown's name. He and Sierra had been together for a couple years.
He started off as a respectful, quiet boy.
However, Sierra's mom says that about a year into the relationship, things changed.
He started to get really bad. Like, he was always kicked out of school.
He started selling drugs and doing things he wasn't supposed to.
Jermaine soon found himself in trouble with the law.
Every time he went to jail, I had to take her to go see him. She would throw tantrums, begging me. That's how much she loved that boy.
When he was out of jail, Jermaine would test Sierra's devotion in other ways.
He started cheating on her, just being unfaithful.
And it just got worse and worse.
But Sierra's family did not know the worst of it for a long time.
One day, my mailman came and knocked on my door and told me that my daughter was being beat by him on the next street.
She was the victim of domestic violence on many occasions.
Family and friends all implored Sierra to stay away from Jermaine, but she refused.
She loved him a little bit more than she loved herself.
Her excuse all the time was, well, in his childhood, he wasn't raised well, so that's why he's acting like this with me now. And I used to just tell her, you can't make excuses for him.
Sierra's mother also ordered her daughter to stop seeing Jermaine, but it didn't work.
I walked in my house one day and he was there and he wasn't supposed to be there. And she had a green hat over her head and wouldn't look at me.
Take it off.
Mom, no. Mom.
Take it off.
My sister had cuts, bruises all on the top of her forehead, a big lump.
You.
I seen the lumps on her head. I grabbed that boy and I nearly strangled him and told him, you better stop touching my daughter, because I was gonna call the cops on him. And he said he didn't care.
He said, even if you call police, she's still gonna leave with me. She's not gonna press charges. He knew he had that hold over her.
Come on, Sierra. Let's go.
He really had her messed up in the head.
After that, Sierra had cut off communication with her family for 3 weeks. Then came a phone call from Sierra in the middle of the night.
It was my daughter crying. And, Mommy, I'm in pain, I'm in pain. He hit her with a 2x4.
Sierra's mother raced to her daughter's side and drove her to the hospital.
She was in bad shape.
She was just like, Mom, why does he keep doing this to me? Why does he keep hurting me?
I told her, baby, it's not your fault. Nothing that he's doing right now is your fault.
Her family believed it was the last straw for Sierra.
She finally ended up going and getting an order of protection against him.
The order was dated May 3rd. 6 days later, Sierra was dead.
Sierra's family is certain that it's no coincidence.
He took my baby from me.
Detectives leave Sierra's family to grieve and begin their investigation into Jermaine Brown. When they pull Jermaine's criminal record, it confirms everything the family told them.
Jermaine Brown was known to the Rochester Police Department prior to this for drug sales, gang activity.
And he did have a history of domestic violence with our victim.
There was an active order of protection that he was supposed to stay away from her.
But had Sierra stayed away from Jermaine?
According to the police record, his most recent known address was the house where police believe the shooting occurred.
Furthermore, detectives learned Tamika Wilson and Tamara Stevens are Jermaine's sisters.
Which explained why they were so uncooperative with the police.
Doubting Tamika or Tamara would turn on their brother, detectives try witness Haley Winters one more time.
This time, when detectives revealed what they already knew about Jermaine and Sierra's relationship, his abuse, and her restraining order, Haley finally broke.
Haley now admits that she and Sierra had met up with Jermaine Brown and Deshaun Sweet at a local park on the afternoon before the shooting.
According to Haley, this was the first time Sierra had seen Jermaine since she took out the order of protection.
She knew that it could be a danger to her to be around him, but she didn't care about it. She wanted to be around him.
According to Haley, things went so well that Sierra agreed to come over to Jermaine's house at 11:30 that night.
He was supposed to meet us. Like, we were going over there.
Haley says that when they got to the house, she and Sierra were hanging out with Jermaine and Deshaun in an upstairs bedroom.
That was when this gun was actually pulled out by Jermaine.
Yo, check it out. Ooh.
Is that real? Where'd you get it?
Bought it off this dude.
Can I hold it?
She just was like, oh, let me see. Hang on.
She indicated that he thought he made it safe by pulling the magazine out.
However, he didn't hand over the gun to Sierra.
Jermaine pressed it up against her arm,
saying something to the effect of like, I should shoot you, laughing.
Jermaine, quit playing.
I should shoot you right now.
That's not funny, Jermaine. Stop. Jermaine.
Chill. It's not even.
The gun went off.
Jermaine!
He took the clip out, but one bullet was in the chamber.
Sierra, are you okay?
Haley says that after the shot went off, Sierra stumbled out of the room and the others followed.
According to Haley, no one was really sure just how badly Sierra had been hurt.
She made it down the stairs, and then she fell. Like, that was it.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Oh my God. What the heck is going on? Okay, get out of the house. Let's go!
Haley admits that's when Jermaine and Deshaun carried Sierra out of the house and over to the neighbors.
Sierra, you're gonna be all right. You're gonna be okay, okay?
Jermaine, you gotta get up out of here right now. Go!
Haley says Jermaine was concerned about Sierra, but because of his legal history, he fled.
Go, get out of here now! Go!
Despite the fact that the decisions made that night cost Sierra Grimes her life, Haley swears that her death was just a tragic accident.
But was she telling the truth? She had been caught in multiple lies at this point.
Could she have been trying to shield Jermaine from a murder charge?
Hold tight as we navigate through the unpredictable twists and turns of this heart-wrenching episode.
Less than 24 hours after 18-year-old Sierra Grimes was found mortally wounded, Rochester detectives finally have their shooter identified as Sierra's boyfriend, 17-year-old Jermaine Brown.
The story of what happened was Jermaine was playing with a gun, laughing, and put the gun up to Sierra's arm, and it went off.
Given Jermaine's violent history towards Sierra, detectives have their doubts.
They had several domestic incidents where he had put his hands on her and caused her physical injuries.
What detectives needed was something or someone to corroborate Haley's story.
After the interview with Haley was complete, Terry and I decided to go back and talk to Deshaun.
We would like to figure out what happened to her.
Once detectives revealed that they knew Jermaine was the shooter and had video to prove he was there, Deshaun came clean.
He did do that, though.
His story was consistent to what Haley had told us.
Deshaun also admits what he was doing when police picked him up down the street from the crime scene.
Deshaun admitted to hiding the weapon.
Detectives have one more pressing question for Deshaun.
Well, where did Maine go?
I don't know.
With no leads on Jermaine Brown's whereabouts, Rochester police spend the next 5 days searching for Sierra's killer.
He did go on the run.
On May 15th, the search abruptly ends when police learn Jermaine is due to appear at the courthouse on an unrelated charge.
Through interviews of other individuals, we learned that Jermaine may possibly be going to the Hall of Justice, which is right next to police headquarters, to deal with another matter, another arrest that he had.
So we were on the lookout for him, thinking if he shows up for his other court case, and he was stopped right in front of our public safety building and taken into custody.
He had on a memorial type of T-shirt. It was a picture of him and Sierra Grimes that said forever on it.
People were wondering if he really was feeling remorse over what he had done, or maybe he was trying to put on a facade and pretend like he was missing her and he had nothing to do with what had happened.
Once they have Jermaine in custody, detectives attempt to get his account of what happened.
You dumped her at the curb like you take the garbage out on Sunday. So if you loved her, that's hard for us to explain. He showed no remorse. He didn't show any sadness.
The interview quickly concludes.
I can't answer no further questions. Good.
He was only concerned for himself.
Despite Jermaine's lack of cooperation, his arrest is welcome news for Sierra's family.
Nothing was more satisfying than getting that call, knowing that police got him.
But will the family still be satisfied when Jermaine is formally charged?
Because all the witnesses claimed that the shooting was not intentional, the DA charged Jermaine with manslaughter instead of murder.
The definition of manslaughter is that you recklessly caused the death without intending to kill or harm.
The DA explains to Sierra's family that a murder charge might not hold up in court.
He said they're gonna make it look like kids were playing in the house with the gun and the gun went off and killed her. And he was gonna get off scot-free.
It made it for a very difficult case to prosecute.
Given Jermaine's pattern of abuse towards Sierra, her friends and family believe the charge should be murder.
If it was an accidental, you don't do that to somebody you love. You don't drag them outside and leave them to die.
Jermaine may not have meant to kill Sierra, but he definitely didn't try to save her either.
Why did y'all throw my baby in the freaking driveway and left her there? Where is your humanity? Not just him, the other kids.
The DA also decides not to press charges against the witnesses who left Sierra to die.
For Sierra's family, that was almost as big of a slap in the face as Jermaine's manslaughter charge.
I try to put myself in their shoes. I know they were scared. But if it was an accident, why didn't they help my baby?
That's wrong. That's basically saying if one of my friends shoots somebody in front of me, I can go and help them cover it up and don't face nothing.
The only thing I want is justice for my daughter.
But when Jermaine pleads guilty to manslaughter in October of 2018, his sentence is a blow to the family.
He received a sentence of 2 to 6 years.
It leaves me speechless. They gave him a slap on the wrist.
What justice is that?
However, despite their pain, the family still has room in their hearts for forgiveness.
I don't want him dead. Not at all. I forgive him. I have to. For me to move on, I have to. And one day I will right him. I sure will. So he can remember what he did. Because I'm pretty sure he's not thinking about her every day, but I do every day. She was very special.
Sierra's friends and family hope that her story can spare others from suffering the same fate.
Your first love is not always your right love. It's not always your true love. And it's not always love to begin with.
People that's ever been in a violent situation with another partner, don't waste your time, don't waste your energy. Leave them alone before it's too late.
Abuse is never okay. If you or someone you love is in an abusive relationship, there is help available. Call the Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE.
It's a sad truth that love can sometimes become dangerous, especially in an abusive relationship. Despite the tragic loss of Sierra, her family has chosen to forgive and cherish the memories they have of her. As part of the Fatal Attraction podcast, we want to remind our listeners that abuse is never okay.
If you or someone you love is in an abusive relationship, there is help available. Call the Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE.
Coming up on the next episode of the Fatal Attraction podcast.
She was a beautiful young woman with everything going for her.
She was like a ray of sunshine.
She just had this aura.
People are just naturally drawn to her.
Until one day, the unthinkable happened.
No one had heard from her since the night before.
It was so unlike her.
What happened to her and where did she go?
Rebecca Coster has suddenly gone missing. Her family and friends are desperately searching for her whereabouts. They are deeply concerned and worried about her safety. Detectives are on the hunt. What happened to Becky Coster? Tune in to the next episode of the Fatal Attraction podcast. We will see you in the next episode.